Mixed feelings on this one, and I think it could be, it's good and bad at the same damn time. Uh, I do have this general belief that if we keep forgiving school loans, we're not fixing the root cause of the problem, which is, just getting degrees that the workforce isn't asking for, and the overall cost of what college is. In the same sense, like we talk about how expensive healthcare is, and we keep trying to fix healthcare, but we don't figure out how to get the healthcare costs down, such as obesity, for example. In the same sense, why does college cost so much goddamn money? And on top of it, you have the colleges that are pumping out graduates at a rapid pace. They kind of push people through and get degrees that the market doesn't want. We have so many communications and people that have majors in psychology. It's mind blowing. While we're struggling to get people to go be nurses and welders, for example. Um, to forgive loans means that we're just going to keep stuffing the college coffers full of money and getting people with degrees that don't help them with a career over the 40 years they need to work probably to make it. Um, and then we're going to dump it off on the taxpayers to pay for that part doesn't make any sense. What I think we do need to do is, and I think this is involved in part of this program. Um, if we need more nurses, so it makes sense to say, hey, we can offset part of your loans or forgive part of your loans if you go get a degree in nursing and become a nurse. And I think that's where we have to go as a country. Give incentive. If we're going to spend money, right? If you're going to ask the taxpayers to open up their wallets and pay for the degrees, I don't think we should keep paying for degrees for people to go into communications and psychology, right? We need to figure out, come up with the data that shows this is what the country needs to survive and continue to thrive, and this is how we need to develop our workforce over the next 2 decades, and encourage more people to go do that type of work and offset it with, school loan forgiveness or something. Otherwise, if we're just going to keep pumping out a bunch of graduates with random degrees that the market doesn't need and the taxpayers are going to pay for it, this isn't going to end well for anybody. Right now, we have, a shortage of nurses, for example. We have shortages of people that are doing skilled trades, such as welding. Let's go incentivize people to go get those degrees that are great middle class lives that could lead to an upper middle class life. And it's something the country needs if we want to continue to live our way of life. Um, and I'm fine with if you worked for a nonprofit. I just, what kind of nonprofit? Is there some kind of category there? There are some great nonprofits, and then there's some really terrible ones that really don't do much for society. They collect a lot of money. We have to figure out if we're going to spend the money, where's the most productive way to do that? Um, and I think that's where we're kind of in the pinch. It seems like we're probably going down the right route right now. I guess I would look at something a little more aggressive that actually just straight up incentivizes people to go become nurses, to go become welders, to find these holes in our healthcare system, and let's make sure that we are graduating people over the next 10 years to fill those roles. We don't need any more social media managers. What's funny is if you go on LinkedIn and you post an ad for a social media manager, you get about 300 people apply in 10 minutes. You go post something that's a job that adds a little more value to society, and you get like 3 applications in a month. We have an issue here, especially if we want to continue living the way we live. And when I say the way we live is, do you want that time to come when you get T-boned in a car and the EMS doesn't show up because there's no workers for it? Or God forbid EMS does show up and you get to the hospital, but they don't have enough people in triage or enough nurses to help you. Are we thinking about that? Life is very convenient where someone else grows your food, someone else transports that food to the grocery store, someone stocks it at the grocery store. If you had to go out back and grow your own corn and harvest your own corn and make all your own food and prep and freeze all your own food and then cook all your own food, yeah, we're talking about life from 200 years ago. You wouldn't have time to work. See, now we traded work for that convenience. Instead of going and growing our own food and making our own clothes and building our own shelter, we go work some job so we can pay someone rent, so we can pay someone to make us tacos. Um, that's when I talk about our way of life. But it falls apart quickly, as you've noticed since COVID started. When you're starting to see cracks in people not going to work with supply chain issues, with shortages, this is what happens to our way of life when that happens. So I would like to see a comprehensive plan of where we can, not just a skill gap, but a worker gap, and figure out what it is we need to really focus on in the next 20 years and start incentivizing people to go to college for those things. The biggest issue we're facing right now is our, K through 12, our parenting, and even the colleges who ram it down your throat to go do what you love. Chase your passion. Chase your passion. The problem is, what if your passion has, there's no market need for it whatsoever? Um, then you're stuck with the $50 or $100,000 worth of school debt, and you have no value to anybody other than checking the box that says bachelor's degree, which doesn't get you very far right now. You would have been better off not going to college and just working at Amazon and working your way up the ladder. You'd be further ahead in 4 years and have no debt. Hell, it sounds like you can get Amazon to pay for your education on top of it now. These are things we have to think about. I got, friends in the music industry that got platinum records on the walls, and they didn't go to school for that type of work. And let's just say 300,000 people every year wanted to go get degrees in music production. It doesn't mean there's 300,000 jobs available for them. In fact, there's maybe a couple thousand at best. But we keep telling people, well, do what you love. Oh, I love music. Well, go do music. Well, then it doesn't work out, right? Now you're stuck with a music degree, and there's no job for you. This is the issue with telling people to do what they love and chase your passion. Is there a demand for it? Is there going to be a job waiting for you? Is the market saturated? If everyone just did what they loved, this world would just stop. No one would pick up your trash. No one would repair your road. No one would be at the spa scrubbing the cheese off the bottom of your feet. You wouldn't get that massage anymore. There probably would be a lot of people who weren't hairstylists. Those truck drivers who bring your food and your toilet paper. Remember toilet paper last year where people are scrapping at Costco over fucking toilet paper? All that comes to an end. I'm sure 90% of people who are doing those working class kind of jobs that keeps our economy moving, if they just did what they loved instead of focusing on a paycheck to take care of their families, this world stops right fucking now. So we need to get back to focusing on jobs that keep our world alive and moving. The EMS, the firefighters. As much as people hate the police, we do need police. We hate the military, we do need some kind of military. Doesn't mean we need to spend $6 trillion in Afghanistan, but you got to have some kind of military. You need nurses, you need radiologists, you need doctors. There's all these things you do need to keep society moving. And that's what we need to focus on. Let's get back to, this whole what's your purpose? Like my purpose in life was never my job. I always looked at it as my main purpose in life is to make sure I'm fed, that my family's fed, that I have a roof over my head, I take care of the people around me, and that all requires money. It's like I call it the lost art of providing for ourselves. Your main goal every morning should wake up and to provide for yourself, and if you have family you take care of, like I take care of my father, you get up in the morning and you do whatever you have to do to provide for them, instead of looking for someone else to provide for you. That is where we got to get back to. And we got to get out of this mindset of, I'm too good for that job, or that job has no purpose, or that job's dirty. I grew up broke. Any job that paid money was a good job. Because when you're faced with getting kicked out of your apartment and starving, even the shittiest job was a good job. And that's coming from someone who went several days without eating any food as a child. I'll take any motherfucking job if I can get a slice of pizza. Um, but I've been there and done that. I think a lot of people haven't. These people that grow up in a decent middle class or upper middle class home, they get to go off to a good college, K through 12, and their parents and the college is programming you with all this shit. And then you go chase your passion or your dream, and then you get out there, and then no one wants to hire you, and you can't figure out why because your professor just told you for 4 years you're special. Well, they didn't tell you that the market's not looking for whatever degree you got. And you might have a passion or something you love, and that's one of those things that maybe it was better off being a hobby, for example. I love tennis, for example. I would have loved to, like, I would have never been good enough to make money at it at a pro level, but I probably could have been a tennis trainer until I saw what tennis trainers make. I would have never been able to live the life I wanted to live or take care of the people around me that needed help if I was worked as a tennis coach. And that's just one of those things. And that's at the time there's quite a few tennis coaches out there. I had to step back and say, yeah, I would love to do that, but I'm going to leave tennis as a hobby, and I'm going to go do some other things that will make me more money, that will allow me to take care of my family. You got to retire at some point. One of the scariest things in the world, if you go to old folks home and you talk to the people that ran out of money in their 50s, early 60s, and all they got is that $1,300 a month coming from Social Security, dude, that is not how I want to spend the last third of my lifetime. Is barely getting by at poverty level, check to check. It's the scared straight retirement edition. It is goddamn scary. I want to travel. I want to enjoy life. I want to be able to relax. I don't even plan on retiring. But the last thing I want to do is spend like my years from like 60, hopefully to 85 or 90, having like $1 in my bank account and not being able to do a goddamn thing. So my focus has always been on, I want to make money. I'm not going to care if I love it or not. I'm going to find something I can be successful at. I can save for retirement. I can travel and do the things I want to do. I can take care of my family. And, as someone that, spent their teenage years always worrying about money and struggling, I never wanted to feel that again. It's the thought of money can't buy you happiness. Yeah, I get that until you starve, until you are worrying about your electric getting turned off or your water getting turned off or getting kicked out of your apartment. When you're in that position, let me tell you, money buys you a lot of fucking happiness. It buys you a lot of sleep at night. Let's get back to worrying about providing ourselves and not worrying about our passions and what we love so much. Things we have passion for can be hobbies. Things we love can be hobbies. It's you can do both. You can go to work, 8 to 5 and make a living and take care of yourself and your family and still have hobbies. It's crazy, but yeah, you can do that. So, anyways, and my last parting thought is, if you felt duped by the college and they kind of sold you on a degree that maybe wasn't out of the value they told you it was, it's, there's so many psychology degrees out there. And the one psychologist I talked to last, because they're like, they never tell you that you can get a psychology degree, but you really can't make any money with it. If you really want to make money in psychology, you still got to go back and get a master's degree. But, the college counselors will tell you shit like, hey, get a psychology degree because psychology will help you understand people, and companies love hiring people that understand people. And I'll tell you what, as someone that's been in the recruiting game for 20 years, I've never had a company come to me and say, I want to hire someone with a psychology degree because they understand people. Yet, you're 18, 19 years old, you got these high school or college counselors telling you this shit, and then you go and get it, you blow 50 or 100 grand on a psychology degree with no intentions of ever going into psychology, but you were told it's going to make you a great leader and a manager, and it doesn't work out that way. Go back to the college and say, I want my goddamn money back. It's that's where I say we're never going to fix the problem. A lot of the issues are the colleges. They're just mills now that are making money. They're building these huge fancy campuses, and there's a shit ton of people that are just getting passed through the system who have 4-year degrees and they can't even write a coherent sentence. How are you going to get a job in the corporate world and you got to communicate with customers, but you can't even send an email that doesn't have a tremendous amount of grammatical and spelling errors? But you have a 4-year degree. So the 4-year degree is getting less and less value every single day. Don't ask the taxpayers to forgive your debt. Go back to the college and say, give me my goddamn money back. You were duped, you were screwed, you were lied to, you were tricked. Um, there's a lot of bullshit going on with some of the colleges out there. And that's why we got 1.5 trillion in debt and people are out there working as baristas at Starbucks. You kind of got duped. But, if if I go buy a car and they lie to me and screw me over, I don't go back to the bank and say, hey, forgive my car loan. The car dealer screwed me. No, you go back to the car dealer and you say, give me my fucking money back or you sue them. It's just weird because, like, our educational system is one of those things where they tell you pretty much have to get a degree if you want to have a decent living in this country. And you're the customer paying tens of thousands of dollars, but you have no say in your education. You can't, you got that professor that just sucks and you go complain and there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to suck it up and pay the money to get this piece of paper, this little like golden ticket. And it's like, this is the one case where you're the customer, but you have no say. And then that's been, making at that point in your life the biggest financial decision of your life, and you got no say. Yeah, I say don't go ask the taxpayers to pay for your shit. Go back to the college and just give me my money back. Because as long as we keep forgiving debt like that, the colleges are going to keep ripping you off. And we're never going to fix the issue. And we're just going to keep dumping that onto the taxpayers, which I don't think is right. We just keep enabling people to screw you over more and more and more. And there's nothing right about that. So, anyways, that's all I got for this one. If there's an article you want me to cover, you can catch me on Instagram at JamesPhillip313. Drop me a link and a DM, and I'll try to get that topic featured on the show. Until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.